Since I did the Beating Fallout New Vegas as the Doomslayer video, I was told that Fallout 3 has much better armor for the Doomslayer cosplay. On the downside though, my arsenal is going to be somewhat smaller. I'm also going to get this out of the way now. I didn't bother getting any of the mods I had in New Vegas to work in Fallout 3. In theory I could have, but the effort wasn't worth it, and I barely understand how my PC works, let alone how to get mods working on the game they're not intended for. Oh, and this video did take a little bit longer to make, as you can see. The script is also, somewhat longer than the New Vegas video. So, to get the arsenal problem out of the way, Fallout 3 doesn't have a 9mm pistol, hunting shotgun, or chainsaw, which means I'm going to be missing a couple weapons. The 9mm pistol could easily be swapped out for a 10mm, but the chainsaw and hunting shotgun had to be omitted entirely. I debated on using a different shotgun, like the combat shotgun, but the Slayer is known for using a pump action. The other weapons I used are still available though, my fists are luckily still connected to me, and I'll just continue to use the sawed-off shotgun. The minigun and missile launcher are also still at my disposal, and then there's the plasma rifle, which I still never used because I got it too late into the run for it to ever be viable. For my armor, I was going to be using the Riley's Rangers combat armor, since it's nice and green, and for my helmet, I was just going to be using a metal helmet, since it does look the part. I'm also going to continue my mini rule of solving most problems with violence. With all that out of the way, let's begin. Maybe I should have started with Fallout 3, as I get to watch the Doomslayer's birth, and I choose to be a boy. He is Doom Guy after all, and not Doom Gal. I do my best to recreate the character I had in New Vegas, but I wasn't going to put too much effort in since I'd be mostly wearing a helmet. I'm immediately hit with trauma as my mother dies, and now I'm a 1-year-old being left unattended. Unlike any kid who's left alone, I decide to go and read. My stats are kinda similar to last time, but there are some essential changes. My agility is at 10, and endurance is a 9, my perception and strength are at 7, and my intelligence is a 5. I put no points into luck and charisma, but I think I should have switched my perception and luck, as they probably would have come in more handy that way. Liam Neeson tries to give me a life lesson while I ignore him and play with his ball. I'm now 10 and was totally unprepared for this incredible party. I'm given a Pip-Boy and watch my birthday get ruined. I was completely ready to throw hands with Butch here, but unfortunately the game doesn't let you fight back here, so I need to get some help from Officer Gomez. I tried my best to avoid Beatrice, but I'm forced to accept a boring poem. I get a brand new BB gun from Jonas and Dad, which I tried on these targets, but when the Radroach shows up, I squish it under my boot. I punch Dad to get back to the other side, and now I'm 16 and I have to deal with acne, puberty, and an excessive need to punch assholes. I take the goat and answer as closely as I thought the Doomslayer would, though most of the violent answers. It turns out that I'm very qualified to be a tattoo artist, which concerns me for the mental state of tattoo artists. For my tag skills, I ended up taking both small and big guns, as well as energy weapons. I should have taken unarmed in its place, though. Liam Neeson broke out of the vault, so now it's my problem, and I'm given a pistol to solve them. I put it to use by putting a few new holes into Officer Kendall with the help of some radroaches that I then give the same treatment to. Which may be a prick, but I decide to help his mother anyways by punching some bugs. I also remember to change my difficulty to very hard here, but I kind of should go into a long tangent here. I'm not very experienced with Fallout 3, and I find it a lot more difficult than New Vegas, at least in the early game, since repairs and ammo are a lot more expensive. To cut a long story short, though, I dropped my difficulty down to hard later on, and I raised it back to very hard when I started to have consistent ammo near the end game. You can say this makes the run invalid or something, but to be honest, I never viewed this as a challenge run. I just saw it as a fun way to play Fallout 3 since I've never finished the game before. Anyways, tangent over. I use the last of my 10mm ammo to kill these two officers, and then I make my way to the Overseer. I give Officer Mac a mind-blowing experience, and then offer the same to the Overseer with some ammo I found in the locker. Now Amada hates me, I can't see why though. All I've done is murder a few people, including her dad. I enter the toxic greenery of the capital wasteland, and I reach level 2. I put the points into both my small guns and big guns, and then I take the gun nut perk for the extra skill points. I make my way down the road and find myself in Silver's house. She doesn't seem happy with my intrusion, but that wasn't going to be a problem for long. Next I go to Megaton, one of my favorite places in all of Fallout. Off topic, I may like New Vegas more than 3, but the settlements are much more memorable in this game. I enter town and collect the Power of Atom quest from Lucas Sims, but I don't have the explosives required to disarm the nuke just yet. I also go speak with Moira to collect the Wasteland Survival Guide quest, and sell the things I've collected to her. I even buy a missile launcher from her alongside some ammo for both it and my pistol. I speak with Moriarty and bribe him so I can get Galaxy News Radio marked on the map since I couldn't remember where it was. I left Megaton and started making my way to the Super Duper Mart. With the help of this guy, I dealt with the raiders outside of the building.
Hold it right there, pal. You're giving me everything you own. Now. What? How did you know that? I mean, shit. Look, I'm just gonna go. Forget about it.
I didn't forget. Brian Wilkes also showed up immediately afterwards, wanting to get help with his destroyed town or something. I reached level 3 and put the points in the small guns, and then I take the Swift Learner perk. I enter the Super Duper Mart and kill the raiders in there. They were somewhat bullet spongy due to the difficulty, but their weapons weren't dealing too much damage either. I did die a few times though for my own mistakes. But I dealt with the first batch of raiders in the end, and then I collected the medical supplies and food to complete this part of the quest. Then I have to deal with the second group of raiders that come back to the store. I return to Moira to show off the supplies and speed holes I acquired. I also picked up a sawed-off shotgun from one of the raiders, which means I've got more than half of my weapons already. I test out my new toy on this ant, and unlike the sawed-off from New Vegas, Fallout 3 fires each barrel individually. Now I could go get this double barrel from Point Lookout, but I'm an idiot. That's not why I'm not getting it though, as for whatever reason, the DLC aren't automatically enabled on the Game of the Year version of Fallout 3 through Steam. I only realized this later into the run, and by that point I couldn't be bothered getting it. If I do a part 2 and go through all the DLC, then I'll pick it up for sure. Speaking of, would you be interested in me making a part 2 of both the Fallout 3 run and the New Vegas one? Let me know. I made my way to Grey Ditch to help Brian Wilkes, and I immediately regretted it as the fire ants tore through my armor. Unsurprisingly, really, I am quite flammable. I promised to help Brian deal with all the fire ants, and then I returned to Megaton because there wasn't any way I was killing all of those ants just yet. So instead, I was going to continue the main story and make my way to Rivet City. On my way there, I spot some super mutants and raiders skirmishing with each other, and from one of those mutants, I heard the distinct burst of a minigun. So I snuck up behind them and used that to steal the raiders' kills, and then jumped into the river to get across to where the raiders were. I even tested the minigun immediately on their survivors. Even in its less than ideal condition, it will kill. I head into the first of many metro tunnels that I'd be traveling through. When I entered, a mole rat tried to nibble me, and I hoped that Fist would be able to put it down. But since I have no points and unarmed, and no ranks of Iron Fist, my damage was non-existent. I also faced my first horde of feral ghouls. They weren't much to write home about, other than the pure satisfaction of watching their heads pop. I might be on a list. Ghoul Extermination lets me reach level 4, and I put the points into explosives and small guns. Perks are already getting uninteresting at this point, as most of them are just increasing my skills, which isn't bad, but I'd prefer something with more weight. Anyways, I take the Educated perk, as the added skill points would be beneficial in the long run. I also encounter a super mutant at the end of the tunnel. I had to spend all of my 10mm and shotgun ammo, and even then I needed to punch it to death. This got me worried for future encounters. I exit the metro and stumble upon the Brotherhood that I follow towards Galaxy News Radio. I used all of my 5mm ammo on some of the first super mutants we encountered, and as I arrived near the GNR building, I was a little too impatient and got myself killed by an exploding car. On the next attempt, I managed to let the Brotherhood do most of the work, and then let them do more of the work against the behemoth. I did try to steal the kill by punching at the last second, but that didn't work. I speak with 3Dog and somehow managed to succeed on a 2% speech check. Off topic, I prefer how speech works in Fallout 3 a lot more than how it works in New Vegas. But anyways, this ended up not really being important since I still did his quest later on. I returned to Moira to refill my ammo as much as I could, and next I made my way to Rivet City while pretending to be a dolphin for some reason. The reason I'm swimming through the Rad River is to get 600 rads for Moira, so to reach that goal I start slurping water from outside of Rivet City. I get the city marked on my map before going back to Moira to have my radiation sickness cured. I speak with Shrapnel, who is now one of my favorite vendors in all of Fallout. I sell the rest of the stuff I've collected to him, and buy as much ammo as I can. I hit the Jefferson Memorial and clear out the super mutants on the outside, and then I just dodge past the ones on the inside since I didn't feel like spending too much ammo on them. I give the holotapes a quick listen so I can get Smith Casey's garage marked on the map, and then I head back into the metro tunnels now since I felt like working towards getting my armor. So now I'm going towards the Statesman Hotel to meet the Riley's Rangers. I have to fight some super mutants outside the building and get killed a couple of times while trying to get there. Eventually I did manage to make it though, and reached level 5 as I entered the building. I put the points into small and big guns, and then I take the second rank of gun nut. Inside the hotel wasn't any better than outside, as I got killed by super mutants inside a few more times. With all my deaths and the lack of progress I was making, this is when I decided to turn my difficulty down to hard, because I knew it wouldn't make for a very entertaining video if I was just running away from every fight and not really doing much. The first thing I do is remember that I increased my explosives high enough to disarm the bomb in Megaton, which gives me access to free water for extra healing supplies. The next thing I wanted to do was go to Undercity to see if I could start the Riley's Rangers quest that way. I also got jump scared by some crazy guy.
Fire, fire, burning bright, burning fire, pain, misery, peace, love, murder, death, 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 death. No.
I go through more metro tunnels and deal with some raiders. As I leave, I reach level 6 and increase to big guns some more, and I take the gunslinger perk. I arrived in Undercity, and I'm greeted by this charming fellow.
Ooh-wee.
I find Riley, but unfortunately I couldn't get her woken up, so I was kinda back at square one. I bought some regular combat armor, and then returned to 3Dog to help him with his problem. On my way to the Museum of History, I get killed by super mutants, but eventually I made it there safely and could collect the dish. I set up the dish at the top of the Washington Monument. I also collected a metal helmet from here, so now I just need the armor. I turned in the quest and started to make my way to the Ranger compound in the hopes of finding something helpful there. But instead I was approached by Talon Company mercs.
Well now, if it isn't the little saint from the vault. We've been looking for you. Someone's put quite a price on your head. What? You think you can walk around the wasteland do... Such a shame. Ha!
I even got attacked by a second group of mercs not too long after, which let me reach level 7. I put the points in the big guns, and finally take the Bloody Mess perk. I also found where the crazy guy was ranting from, and I convinced this guy to talk him down. I found the Ranger compound, but to cut a long story short, it amounted to nothing, so I just returned to the Statesman Hotel and cleared out the super mutants on the ground floor since now I had much more ammo for it. I realized that there wasn't any way of going upstairs from here, however, so I left the building and saw some piece of debris hanging between the hotel and a hospital. Luckily, this did lead into the upper floors of the hotel, and I've got to say I'm proud for myself for figuring this out without needing to search for a guide. I continue killing super mutants while finding the remains of the Rangers, until I get to the roof and find the 3 surviving mercenaries. To help them down, I had to get this fission battery from this Protectron, clipping into the wall, and handed it over to Donovan. As we headed back to the lobby, Donovan was actually killed by some super mutants that attacked us, so I helped myself to his armor. I returned to the Ranger compound and completed the quest to get a second set of armor. I could have gotten the unique minigun she offers, but I didn't think it would make that much of a difference compared to the regular one. For some extra caps, I was able to return to Riley with locations I've marked on my map and get a decent amount of money for it. I'm not going to mention every time that I came back here, but just know that I made about 1600 caps from this. While wandering around, I killed some Mirelurks and reached level 8. I maxed out big guns and was going to start working on repair. For the perk, I take strong back so that the weight of my items wouldn't be too much of an inconvenience anymore. Now that I'm more well armed, I return to Grey Ditch to exterminate the fire ants. I head into the Marigold tunnels and meet Dr. Lesko, the guy that's responsible for all the fire ants in the area. The doctor had a way to kill off all the ants. His only stipulation was that I left the queen alive. I wanted to kill the queen, but it seemed that I would run out of ammo, so I just returned to Lesko after killing the queen's guardians and was hoping to let him do his thing. But then I remembered I was playing a Bethesda game and I could easily exploit the AI by just standing behind the queen and punching it until it kicks the bucket.
This is... I hadn't
So I killed the queen again and then Lesko without the game crashing. I returned to Brian Wilkes now that everything is safe, but since he's an orphan now, I asked his aunt in Rivet City to take care of him. It was about time for me to continue the main story, so I headed west until I made it to Smith Casey's garage, and went into the basement to enter Vault 112. I sit in a comfy chair and experience the future of VR, where I immediately reached level 9 and funneled the points into repair, and then took this toughness perk for the added defense. I spawn in the Chinese army and cause Tranquility Lane to crash. I reunite with Liam Neeson and agree to meet him in Rivet City. Then I listen to Dr. Lee and him engage in unskippable dialogue, so I got distracted. I restock on ammo since the next thing I needed to do was return to the Jefferson Memorial and fully clear it out of super mutants. This is also the first time I truly get to admire Bloody Mess in all of its gory glory. I finish off the last mutant and then let Liam Neeson know everything is safe, before leaving to get distracted by side quests, the first of which was the next part of the Wasteland Survival Guide quest. Moira wanted me to go and check out a town covered in mines, aptly named Minefield. I tried disarming as many as I could. A keyword, tried. I also reached level 10 by disarming one of those mines, and decided I'd rather start increasing my medicine all of a sudden. And then I took intense training to max out my endurance. I also killed the crazy guy with a sniper, since he tried to kill me first. The keyword, tried. I left Minefield and started wandering around, hoping to find some neat locations or side quests. Fuck. After I relaunched my game, I found myself in Big Town, a small town in the middle of nowhere, and luckily for me they needed help in rescuing some of their townsfolk that got captured by super mutants. On my way to the place where they were being held captive, I spotted a small town sitting on a highway and arrived in Arefu. Arefu? Whatever. Where I watched one of the few unique animations in Fallout 3, which makes me think this quest was one of the first designed for the game. Evan King here wanted me to help with something, but I still had something more important to do first, which was to free the captive townsfolk. The first of whom was Red, Big Town's doctor. And this is a super mutant master. I wasn't going to be killing it with the amount of ammo I had left. I only had like
5 bullets left!
Okay, that's a lie. But I still definitely didn't have enough ammo, so I briefly left to buy some extra ammo, and came back to finish off the master. I free Red from her cell, and then go into the basement to untie Shorty. I safely led the two back to Big Town, and then agreed to train the town to defend themselves from future attacks. I only fired a couple of times here, since I was really low on ammo again, after bringing the two back. The townsfolk did quite well in defending their home, and we all briefly celebrated before I left. Now I could return to Arefu to check up on the people living here. I didn't see what could possibly have happened here, but it wouldn't hurt to help. Oh no. Evan was certain it was a group called the Family that were responsible for the tragedy, and I agreed to find them. I made my way northeast of Arefu and killed a few rat scorpions, which let me reach level 11. I continued increasing my medicine, and then took the finesse perk to increase my crit chance some more. I entered a nearby metro tunnel and met Murphy, who knew where I could find the family. I was very grateful, and I hope he has a long and prosperous life. Oh no. Well, I wasn't going to waste his generosity, so I go through the tunnels and find the entrance to the family's home. I need to bribe the guard to get in, but then I got to meet their leader, Vance. Now, he tried to tell me about his family's lifestyle and encouraged me to read the rules of the family. Oh, these is fucking vampires. If Dungeons & Dragons has taught me anything, it's that paladins hate demons and the undead equally. And as we know, vampires are undead. So I think it's reasonable to assume the Slayer wouldn't quite see eye to eye with them. I also lost karma for killing a bunch of cannibals for some reason. Oh, sorry, I mean bloodsuckers. I don't know if that makes it any better or not. I find Ian West, the son of the dead settlers I found, and it turns out he's a bloodsucker too. Now, I decided I'd give him a second chance to rehabilitate himself. So he better not make me regret it. And then I return to Evan King to complete the quest. I restock on ammo and healing supplies once more before returning to the Purifier to help Liam Neeson. I fix up all the parts he needed me to before I watched the Enclave arrive to fill in for our missing antagonist slot. I got to fight my first Enclave soldier here, and they could take a few hits, but for someone in power armor it was kind of pathetic since they aren't really scaled to the player's level. I listened to Colonel Autumn rant, and then watched Liam Neeson die. I escaped to the sewers with the scientists, and defend them from the feral ghouls in the sewers. I also had to help Garza with his heart condition, but I was feeling generous and decided to cure it for him. Now that I could lead the scientists out without interruption, I safely bring them to the Citadel. I listened to more unskippable dialogue before being told where Vault 87 was. But first, my ADHD had to kick in, and I returned to Moira so I could get the next part of the Wasteland Survival Guide quest. On my way to the next objective, I killed some raiders and reached level 12, and increased my medicine to 82, and then took the sniper perk for the added headshot accuracy. I beat some mole rats over the head with a stick, and then went to play Ring Around the Rosie with some Mirelurks before sticking some random machine into their eggs. I even got attacked by some Enclave soldiers trying to cage a Deathclaw. Oh shit! I finished the third chapter of the book, and then skipped the next section through my knowledge of being shot on multiple occasions. The next thing she wanted me to do was learn the history of Rivet City, and I went the extra mile by finding Pinkerton in the sunken half of the aircraft carrier. For the next step of the quest, I go and plug a virus into one of Mr. House's computers. I return to Moira, and for the final chapter of the book, she wants me to visit a library and search through its archives or something. My ears couldn't handle listening to her voice anymore. On my way there, I found a Talon Company outpost and killed them, which let me reach level 13. I maxed out my medicine and was going to start increasing my unarmed next, and to help increasing my melee damage, I took the first rank of the Iron Fist perk. I killed more Enclave soldiers near their library. I'm only mentioning this since this is when I got the plasma rifle that I never used. I enter the library and meet a Brotherhood scribe and a few paladins that were searching the building. Together we exterminated some raiders that made the building their home, and then I searched through a computer. I finally complete what is probably one of the longest quests in all of Fallout, and then make my way back to Vault 101 since I heard a modest distress call. Officer Gomez tells me the new overseer seems to be a bit of a dick, much like the last overseer. and much like the last overseer, I was going to talk to him civilly. Elmada doesn't seem happy with me killing more people, and she just kicks me out. I didn't even like the place anyways. I reached level 14, and ended up lying since I actually increased my repair instead. For the perk, I took Lawbringer since it would give me another source of caps, but honestly, you don't really get many caps for each finger you turn in. And I was in the late game by this point, so I won't even bother showing me going to the Regulator's HQ. I can continue the main story now, so I head to Little Lamplight, but they refuse to let me in. Which means I guess I'm going to go and free some kids from these slavers. To do so, I need to make sure I was well armed, so I basically went and bought all of the ammo I could ever need.
Slaver business only, remember? Now get out of here before I decide to use you for target practice.
With the slaves freed, I reach level 15, I increase repair some more, and take the second rank of the Iron Fist perk. Now that I can enter the town of temporary demigods, I enter Murder Pass, where I do the first half pretty well. I enter Vault 87 and splatter some rad roaches before doing the same to some super mutants. I felt like doing another musical bit here, but it's only been like less than a minute since the last one, so I'll refrain. I reached level 16 from the punching and maxed out repair, and now I can actually start putting points in unarmed, and I also took the last rank of the Iron Fist perk. I freed Fox from his cell, but he was being too slow, so I just decided to get the G.E.C.K myself, and then somehow proceed to get kidnapped by Colonel Autumn, who somehow didn't die in the Purifier with Liam Neeson. I wake up in Raven Rock and immediately get yelled at by Autumn before President Eden kindly lets me loose in the bunker. Now, he may have intended for me to go peacefully to his office, but when have I ever done that?
Hold it right there. You're supposed to be in that holding cell. You're not going anywhere. There's a full complement of guards in the next room. As soon as I get them, you're going back to your cell. In a body bag if necessary. You will stand down and return to your cell at once. That's an order. That's it. Guards!
President Eden tried to stop me by ordering the soldiers to stand down, but for the first time, I am happy to hear Colonel Autumn speak.
This is Colonel Autumn. You are hereby ordered to ignore the President's previous directive.
Hello.
The prisoner from Vault 101 is to be shot on sight. I repeat, shot on sight. This is an order.
Target locked. Go. I'm hit. I'm hit.
Continuing to blast Enclave soldiers lets me reach level 17, and I increased my unarmed some more. I just took the Here and Now perk because I really didn't know what else to take at this point. So for level 18, I just kept increasing my unarmed, and then took Life Giver for the added hit points. I also met one of the scientists from Project Purity, and she decided to betray me and Neeson, so that only means one thing.
Retreating.
No. It's for the Emperor. Get it right. I meet President Eden, and to summarize our conversation, I told him where he could shove his virus. I leave Raven Rock and tried to kill as many of the Enclave soldiers as I could, and for some reason I found this clip really entertaining.
Fall back!
I stock up on ammo one last time before the final assault on Project Purity. I returned to the Citadel to listen to the battle plan, and then I tried to watch the cinematic moment, but it seems I can't have nice things because my game crashed again. I would have more to say about this section if there wasn't a 30-foot tall communism annihilator marching ahead of me. I did at one point get to pick off some of the stragglers from Liberty Prime's assault though. Something I can talk about, though, is me and Sarah Lyons fighting the Enclave troops outside of the Purifier, who did try their best, but there wasn't much they could do against a crazy guy with guns and a sane lady with slightly fewer guns. I enter the main Purifier chamber and face off against Colonel Autumn. About damn time. Ending the Enclave's work lets me reach level 19. I upped my unarmed some more, and took Swift Learner again, cause why not? It turns out that one of us has to hop into the Purifier and beep boop some buttons to save everyone. Doing so finishes the base game, which means I kinda beat Fallout 3 as the Doomslayer. Much like the New Vegas video, of course I had fun. I actually really enjoyed this a lot, especially since this is the first time I've finished Fallout 3. Before I end this off, I also have a few questions I'd like to ask. First of which is, would y'all be interested in a part 2 for this video and even the New Vegas one, where I can go and finish up some other quests, and more importantly, go through all the DLC? I know I mentioned this earlier, but mentioning it again seemed important. I could even do this with some other of the challenges I've done. So if part 2s of anything would be interesting, let me know. I'm also curious if I should do this challenge in either Fallout 4 or Skyrim, or both, really, just to complete it out. Especially now with Dark Ages, Skyrim can be a lot more, possible, so let me know about that too. Second question, I made a poll a bit ago about how I'm recording a BG3 challenge run. Second question, I made a poll a bit ago about how I'm recording a Baldur's Gate 3 challenge run, and I asked whether or not I should do it in one long video or a 3-part series where I could go over each act separately. I'm going to be diving a lot more into the story, and I'm wanting to bring some of the D&D elements to the front by getting into a little bit more of a dramatic narration for it. I was also going to be doing all of my party members' quests just so that I could even emphasize all of that more. So also feel free to let me know your thoughts on that and how I should go about it. And my last question is pretty simple. I'd like to ask you to please subscribe to the channel since it really encourages me. I'd like to ask you to please subscribe to the channel since it really encourages me to continue making these, and consider liking the video if you did. But with all that said and done, I hope you all have a good week.